So you probably clicked this video because you either think you have perioral dermatitis, or you know you have it, or you're just curious, which I would commend, because in this video I'll be talking about my own experience with perioral dermatitis, which I will be referring to as PD, because perioral dermatitis is so annoying to say. I'll be talking about my experience thus far with PD, which I think I've had coming up a year now, which isn't great to think about. But even if you currently don't have PD, it's great to learn about what it is, the warning signs, and definitely how to avoid it. I wish I avoided it. I've been tracking my experience with PD from the start, and I just went through all of my notes to create less notes, hopefully the more important ones, to put in this video. But I mean, first of all, good luck to me to read back my own writing, because what the hell is that? Please tell me I'm not the only one whose writing is so bad that even I can't read my own writing sometimes. First of all, I just want to say, if you have PD, you are not alone. Like, genuinely, I know it can be tough. Maybe it's tough for you, maybe you're not finding it that tough. It was, and it has been, and it kind of still is tough for me. So I just want to emphasize you're not alone. I want to offer what I've been through, any knowledge I've gained from that. So, everybody sit down. Maybe grab a snack, maybe. By the way, if you're curious about this look, I'll have it linked down below. Everybody sit down. Chapter 1. Where it started. How did I get PD? You can get PD in different ways. This video will not be talking about PD facts and stuff. This video is literally just what happened to me personally. So it all started with an Ordinary product. The Ordinary 0.2 Emulsion Retinol. Now, before you start thinking, oh my god, this product is so bad, avoid it at all costs, like, don't. Because I genuinely, from what I can tell online, it really seems like people love this product. You know, I made a post about my experience, people were commenting, oh, I love this product, like, that sucks that it happened to you, blah, blah. So I'm not bashing this product. I got this product because I wanted to, you know, I wanted to be consistent with a retinoid treatment. And I thought, you know, there's plenty of good ones out there, but they're a bit expensive, you know. And if I'm gonna be consistent, I'm obviously gonna need to keep buying it, which will add up to a lot of money, which at the time I was like not really wanting to do. So I chose the Ordinary's one. Obviously, knowing the Ordinary, they have more affordable products. So I thought, great, this will be great, you know. This will transform my skin, and it did, but not how I wanted it to. So I'm not new to retinoids. I have used many of them. They've all been fine, you know. I've never had, I really don't think I've had many symptoms at all when it comes to retinoids. I don't even know if I've had much dryness, for example, when I've used other retinoids. I've used different strengths. This is probably one of the ones that is higher up on the strengths I've used. It might be the highest, I don't really remember, to be honest. So I got this retinol. I used it about 2 or 3 times, you know, a few days apart, before I started noticing sensitivity around my mouth and maybe nose and stuff like that. But I thought, oh, okay, you know, the whole retinization thing, I thought, okay, that's probably just happening to me. I'll just ease off of these areas. The rest of my face was doing fine, so I thought, okay, I'll just use it everywhere else except from the sensitive areas for now and just see how it goes. I literally just thought that those sensitive areas was some sort of retinization, or maybe my skin barrier had just been damaged or something like that. So I wasn't too stressed about it. But this obviously was quite a new experience for me, so I was a bit wondering what was going on. So I was using it kind of early May, and then 16th of June I did a post about it on my Instagram and TikTok. So just some clips from that says, I used it as instructed. I may have made a mistake using it too often, once or twice after a while. So my skin at that time was feeling dry, flaking, very uncomfortable, and less occlusive layer like Vaseline around the mouth. Skin was like this for weeks, every product stung. I was torn between wanting to use SPF to protect the area, but also was wanting to slow down the peeling using Vaseline. I wanted to avoid any hyperpigmentation from skin damage in both regards. Now this may not be PD related, but I also did experience spots on my neck, because I never normally have spots on the neck, so I was suspecting that was from the retinol. So here's my experience with trying to contact the Ordinary team for some advice. So I emailed the Ordinary everything I just said about my skin. They only advised to discontinue and ask for a medical professional if I need help healing it. And they refunded me the product without me even asking for that, which was nice. Now, to be honest, I was expecting more help or knowledge on the retinization topic, as well as the SPF dilemma. So I was a bit disappointed. Obviously, I was quite scared with what's happening with my skin. I obviously understand it's definitely in their best interest to tell me to stop using it so they're not liable if I continue. But at that time, I was traveling. If you know my situation, for a while I was traveling to and from Austria to be with my husband. So at that time I was traveling, I could not go to my doctor to get professional advice. So when I wrote this, it had been over a month since I stopped using the product and my skin was still healing. At that time it was comfortable, but definitely still light peeling. So using that retinol was mistake number 1 for me. Using it too often when I was using it. For about a week in around mid-June, I was desperate to try and heal the area. It was still peeling. Obviously, what do you do? What does anyone suggest when someone has dry peeling skin? Cicaplast. To my knowledge, to my experience, Cicaplast is bad idea for PD. PD likes light skincare, nothing heavy, nothing occlusive. Now, if you was paying attention, I was slathering it in Vaseline. I'm now starting to use Cicaplast. Vaseline is very occlusive. Cicaplast is very thick. So these were definitely mistakes at the time. I wrote for that week. I noticed sometimes the skin would be very itchy after applying, or it would be hot feeling. I thought this might be okay because I thought it was just due to the skin being damaged. So my skin was just getting more irritated by using the Cicaplast, unfortunately. This is still when I thought my skin barrier was damaged. I thought that was it. I thought, oh, I'm just dry. I just need moisture to help it heal. So 27th of June, I was getting desperate. Like I said, I was traveling. I was probably in Austria at that time. So I did not have a doctor at the time. I was not staying permanently at that time. So I wanted to try an online doctor service. I did some Googling, and one thing I did not want was to get scammed, because it seemed like, I would find one that would look good, and then I would go on the Trustpilot reviews and people were saying, this is not good, it's a scam. But then I came across Superdrug Doctors. Now, if you're in the UK, you will know Superdrug, the drugstore. If you're not familiar, they just sell makeup, toiletries, skincare, beauty stuff, a bunch of other stuff too. But they basically have an online doctor service where you can, send in pictures of whatever it is you're struggling with, explain it, all that stuff. And I believe it was only £20, which, other online services I found were more expensive, which, I did not want to spend a bunch of money to get scammed. So anytime I say doctors, I will only be referring to the online Superdrug Doctor service. I've never gone to a GP in person for my PD or any in-person dermatologist or anything. I've never done that yet. So anytime you hear doctor, that's what I'm speaking about. So my first message to the doctors, I briefly explained about the retinal. My skin was deeply peeling. I will insert some images that I sent to them. Red, itchy, uncomfortable to move. I could only feel comfortable if I used the CeraVe healing ointment on it all day. I told them after a month I didn't see much healing, but it did stop aggressively peeling. It still occasionally peeled and still is red. I told them about the Cicaplast and what cleanser I was using, which was the Toleriane cleanser from La Roche-Posay, which great cleanser, can I just say, for PD. I got a immediate reply. Like, I'm pretty sure it was within minutes of me sending that message. They right away diagnosed me with perioral dermatitis. So, upon my diagnosis, they gave me some instructions, which at the time I was not happy about. Basically, their instructions was to use a treatment called ROZEX, use it twice a day, wash my face with just water, do not use any skincare, any makeup. No lip balm, no cleanser, no moisturizer, no SPF. Nothing. Just use the treatment twice a day. So I will insert some pictures. The before is from the 27th of June, and these after pictures are from the 22nd of July. As you can see, I saw a big improvement from using the ROZEX cream. It was getting a lot warmer that time of year, so I was getting more and more worried about this area, which I'm pretty sure they said that the ROZEX, makes your skin even more sensitive to the sun. So I was more and more worried about my sun exposure, not being allowed to use SPF. So, little tip, I bought a hat. It's simple, but I bought a hat and that just helped me be protected from the sun without being able to use SPF. So some people use SPF and wear hats, which I am definitely one of those people now. Now, something that I did not see happening was 28th of July. I thought, it's going well. It's going well. I'm going to use a little eyeliner because, it's not even on the skin. It's not even a skin product. It's literally just eyeliner. Tiny bit goes on the skin here, but I wasn't experiencing any PD up here. I was told by the doctor that the PD can spread to the eyes. So I was thinking, oh god, I just caused a bunch more trouble for my skin basically just by using that eyeliner. But this is why progress pictures are so valuable, because I only realized it was not caused by the eyeliner because I was looking back at previous progress pictures I took from the 22nd and I could see just a very, very small little spot. It was the same eye, the same placement as the one I found that I had. So I was happy to at least know that it was not caused by the eyeliner. It was still strange and quite worrying. At the time, I could only really feel it when I was blinking, but apart from that, it wasn't really irritated or anything. So I messaged the doctors about it, and they said it can be in line with PD or a type of adverse reaction and a form of eczema. Now, treatment for eczema, if you have it, you will know, includes steroid creams. Never use steroid creams on your PD. That's a very well-known thing. So obviously the doctor did not recommend I treat it as eczema, because if it was PD, the steroid creams would be a bad idea. So my entry for 29th of July, it's such a mental toll. Like I said at the start, if you have PD and it's getting to you, you're not alone. I know, obviously, from first-hand experience, it can be so upsetting, so distressing, so confusing. I really feel like compared to some other some other conditions, maybe? I really feel like compared to some other conditions, there is not much online about PD. I think I've heard even some derms online say that there's not much known about PD, about exactly what causes it. So that's one reason I wanted to make a video about my experience, because one thing that helped me the most, and it still does help me when I have times I'm feeling quite down and confused about my PD, is creators online sharing their experience or, what's worked for them, what's helping them. I would say the main creator that has helped me the most in terms of hearing their advice, hearing their experiences, has got to be Natalie O'Neill. Now, the same as me, I have no qualifications. Natalie is not a derm or anything like that. She's just very, very knowledgeable and shares her own experiences with things like this, things that helped her, etc. She has a podcast episode on PD. She has a bunch of TikToks about PD as well as a bunch of other stuff. It's just such a treasure trove of knowledge, honestly. So, because I was feeling so lost, so confused, and so alone, honestly, with this, I went on a Natalie spree and just listened to the podcast, went through all her TikToks that I could find. It was about PD or about anything related to PD or any products that might work with PD. I wrote a bunch of notes about little things like, for example, spicy foods are not good for PD. They can irritate it. So I was just trying to gather as much knowledge as I could and maybe find things that I could be cutting out. For example, from Natalie, I learned that no SLS toothpaste can be a lot better for PD. Like regular toothpaste with SLS in it can, for some people, irritate PD. So obviously every day, twice a day, using your toothpaste with SLS in it, it could be contributing to your PD sticking around. So this is the one at the time that Natalie recommended, so I picked it up. Now, I was a bit confused if I was seeing results or not with this. I did write down that I didn't notice much different from switching the toothpaste. So the 2nd of August, I started to try to use some skincare and makeup again. And I would definitely recommend doing what I did in terms of, for example, if you say, okay, today I'm gonna try to use this NARS concealer. You use it and you write it down. You write down the date I used this NARS concealer, and then pay attention. If you have PD, pay attention to if you're noticing any changes, when you're noticing those changes, and then that will help you figure out, okay, this product seems okay, this one, I don't know, something happened that doesn't really make sense yet, but it can all add up and make sense at the end. So definitely take notes. That's what I was doing with a bunch of products I was using at the time and trying out. 6th of August. So I obviously did find a significant improvement using ROZEX, but it kind of stopped at that. It still wasn't back to normal. I had heard Natalie as well as a bunch of other people, including Dr. Sam, if you know her skincare line, talk about how brilliant azelaic acid is for PD. So I had heard that SKINOREN azelaic acid 20% was a bit thicker than FINACEA 15%, which are a couple of the ones that you can get on prescription. I did want to try FINACEA, and that is the one that my doctor recommended. I think they also recommended SKINOREN, but I heard online that FINACEA was just a nicer experience. I also heard some people saying that it might even be more effective, even though it's a lower percentage. But like I said, I was still in Austria at this time, so I could not go to my doctor. In Austria, I also could not find FINACEA in person. I think it might be available somewhere online to be delivered to Austria, but at the time, obviously, I just wanted to get the treatment. So SKINOREN is the one that I was able to get from a doctor here in Austria. So in case you're curious about the ROZEX, here's a little review and like what my experience was of it. The texture was gel and sinks in fully after 10 to 20 minutes. If you apply too much, it dries as a thin film that comes off. I did not experience any sensitivities to it, and I was using it twice a day from the start. So I also wrote down for a while every single SKINOREN application that I did. I wrote down how it was applying it, if I felt anything, how long I used it for, if I washed it off for any reason, and any skincare I used after it. So for example, my first application was the 6th of August. Right after applying, I felt slight stinging around the nose and other small areas. I left it on for a few hours and I washed it off during showering. After I washed it off, the skin felt sensitive, a little stingy, but nothing bad. So here's a little quick SKINOREN Azelaic acid 20% review and my experience. The texture, medium thickness, but it does have a very waxy feel when applied onto the skin. It dries down matte. The main problem I had with the experience of SKINOREN was that waxy texture, it just felt like it was blocking sweat from escaping, so it would, you know what I mean? It felt like if I sweat a little, it would be sweating more because maybe the skin couldn't cool down, I don't know, but that was just always a very strange sensorial thing, and it didn't feel very, very nice. So I started using SKINOREN just around the mouth, maybe the nose, and very slowly I started building up. I would take it, maybe it was up to here, and then maybe it was up to here. You know what I mean? I would slowly just build it out to the whole of my face because I heard that obviously azelaic acid is great to put everyone on the face in general, but I heard that for PD, again, don't quote me on this, but I heard that for PD, it could be beneficial to be treating the whole face even if the PD is not on the whole face. So in general, most applications for a long while with SKINOREN, I was getting stinging, whether that be more consistent stinging or I note it as like pinpoint stinging. So in general, it wasn't horrible, but it wasn't the most pleasant experience to be applying every day with the slight stinging, the waxy feel, all of that stuff. I do think though it started to eventually get less stingy, but I do think it took a while. 7th of August, I still had that eye spot, by the way. It was only a little smaller and I still wasn't getting any symptoms other than just a spot there. It didn't feel like much still. So now it's around September. I did end up stopping tracking using new makeup and new skincare because it didn't seem like, I wasn't going crazy with different stuff I was trying, but it did not seem like these new things were causing any noticeable change in my skin. During that period in August, I did have a couple times where I would have those blotches on the sides of the mouth get a little worse, but it did seem like there was normally a reason for it. Either that day there was some sort of thing that aggravated it, or makeup or whatever. So my skin was not perfect the whole time then. So around mid-September, I noticed a very, very small spot on the other eye. Now, I did use mascara a few days before that, but of course I was not sure if that was what caused it at the time. It was such a small spot that you couldn't really notice it. So 26th of September, I did notice a drier texture around my eyes, which of course, as well as the spot, I was thinking, okay, maybe it might be spreading to the eyes. So like I said, I was tracking every day whenever I applied the SKINOREN, but I did stop this on the 6th of October. And then at the 10th of October, I actually stopped using SKINOREN for a short while because my skin was just getting very, very dry. I did start again using SKINOREN soon after that though, maybe days, I don't know, maybe a week. So during that time when I stopped using the SKINOREN for a couple days, a few days maybe, I did end up getting a new moisturizer and serum. I tried to go for the stuff I thought would be the safest while giving me, you know, that moisture, that hydration I needed. So these are the ones I went with, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend them for PD. I do think there are more trustworthy options for such sensitive skin as PD. I will say I did not note any negative effects from these products though, so maybe they are okay. So I was using SKINOREN again most days since those last updates. I was having a light flare-up. It could be due to that skincare, it's hard to tell. But that light flare-up was a bit more persistent, I would say. That being said, I did not have any dry patches, maybe just slightly on the eyelid still. So, you are a trooper if you're still watching this, by the way. I'll just cut in to say that. Okay, where am I? 2nd of November, I finally got to try FINACEA. At this point, I'm pretty sure I was back in the UK. So I did get FINACEA through that Superdrug Doctors. I did get FINACEA through that Superdrug Doctors Online service. I will say a quick little review of that Superdrug service. They are great if you're in a pinch. So basically how it works, you pay them to message them the first time, and then after that you can freely message them and they will freely reply to you. Anytime I've done a first message where I have paid them, they have responded quite quickly. Like I said, the first time was probably within minutes. But any follow-up messages that I've done where I don't pay them, sometimes it has taken months to get a reply. So in that sense, it was getting a bit frustrating at some points. There was a point where I was in the middle of a conversation with them, but I just spent some more money just so I could actually get a quicker reply, which I don't think is great for that service, but it is what it is. I just thought I'd put that out there if you're interested in trying the Superdrug Doctors Online service. Okay, so the FINACEA Azelaic acid 15%. I was so happy that I got to finally try this treatment because I had heard online from multiple people about how great it is, not just with how effective it is, but also with how it's a lot more pleasant than SKINOREN to use. So day 1 of applying FINACEA, I only did it in the evening around the mouth. I felt this immediate cooling sensation and a slight sensation after. I'm not really sure how to describe it. I did notice if I got sweaty at all, there was slight burning. I would say after about a week, I had already built up to using it twice a day on my whole face. It was giving slight stinging, and it did say on the box to use it twice a day, so that's why I was trying to build up to that. I actually posted this before and after on Instagram and TikTok. So here is some progress pictures after 1 month of using the FINACEA. As you can see, the PD wasn't horrible to begin with at all, but there definitely was those little spots. And like I said, I was using it on the whole face, so using any azelaic acid product can help with hyperpigmentation and stuff like that as well. So that's one benefit as well. So the November pictures, you can see some slight spots still around the mouth, mainly the chin. And in the December pictures, those spots have really cleared up. I would say there's still a couple tiny ones, but they do not look red and irritated like the other ones. I do think in general it helped my skin look clearer. So now we get to December. Now, as I mentioned before, traveling. In December, I was able to travel back to my husband in Austria. And regardless of the PD, normally when I travel, my skin, I don't know why, but especially my jaw, like I have I have quite a normal, the normal skin type where I'm not particularly oily, I'm not particularly dry, but whenever I travel, even though it's such a short flight to go from the UK to Austria, I normally do get just quite dry, even peeling skin on my jaw. So because of that, because I was anticipating that, I did stop using the FINACEA just for a week, just to let my skin chill a bit in case it was getting a bit dry from the travel. And then 19th of December, I did start again using FINACEA twice a day. I do think I noticed more spots on my chin after not using the FINACEA for a week. But again, it could be that. It could be because I was traveling and I was very stressed at that time. It could be from the travel. It could be just, like I said, the same way that I get the dryness from traveling. It could have been multiple things, but just something to keep in mind. Then 9 days later, here's a progress picture. I still did have some spots happening. So we have quite the gap from end of December to mid-February, but I was using the FINACEA gel every day from mid-December, and then mid-February, 17th of February 2025, I had these progress pictures where I note that my chin area was flawless for a while, but recently it started to get more spots, and this is when my FINACEA tube started to run out. So 27th of February, my FINACEA tube completely ran out. Now, once again, I did message the doctors to see what do you think I should do next, because obviously at this point the PD was really calmed down, but I still was getting those spots, and it still did feel like it's still lingering or it's still gonna be able to flare up. It did not feel like, and it still doesn't feel like, it's completely gone. So here is a little 28th of February skin update. Just some pictures in general I took for my PD, and also just to take note of how my skin was looking, so I can compare with skincare products I'm using. Again, the PD, not looking bad at all. I was not having those red blotches that I was having at the very start. It's mainly just those little spots. So a month later, my doctor replied, and they basically said, see what happens using no treatment, and they still was recommending don't use any skincare, which obviously if you've been paying attention, I have been using skincare and it has been improving still. So that's why when I was told at first, don't use any skincare, I've been recording so long, the light has died, so let me see if I have another light that has battery in it. Okay, sorry about the lighting change, but I'm gonna try to finish this quickly because this light is not very charged either. The first time I was told to not use any skincare or any beauty products in general, it was honestly quite devastating for me. I know it sounds silly to some people, but if you're into skincare, if you're into makeup, beauty, you'll understand that doing that every day, doing your skincare every day, doing makeup every day, it's just really nice, and it really is a big part of me. At this point is not, I don't know if it's the best advice. I know their goal is literally just for me to get the PD gone. The doctor's just not really giving me options about that. It was okay before, but months later, after I've had such improvement and they're still saying it. If you can't tell, I'm wearing makeup. I've been doing skincare and makeup for ages now. And like I said, the PD isn't gone. But I've heard that for some people it just does not go ever. So I could be wrong. That's what I heard ages ago. Quick little update on that toothpaste. If you remember, I was using a no SLS toothpaste, and I have recently changed to a new no SLS toothpaste. The previous one I was using, I do think that I did notice after I brushed my teeth, I did get a very slight red patches, and then it would soon go during the day. But I do think with this new toothpaste, I don't have that. Like I said, it's still kind of new for me, but I have not noticed patches after brushing my teeth. So that brings us to today, where the PD isn't bad at all. I am still very cautious with what I use. I've still been only using certain things like mineral sunscreens. I would love to try to incorporate maybe chemical again, but I'm obviously a bit nervous it's just gonna make a flare up. Yeah, so my PD journey is unfortunately not over, even though it's been almost a year at this point, I think. So some key takeaways from my experience that I would give to you. Number one is, if you are unsure about what's happening with your skin, if you think you know what's happening with your skin, maybe just think about maybe you don't, because at the start that was me. I thought I knew what was happening and I did not, and by me not knowing for sure what was happening, treating it wrong, I was making it worse. So my first advice would be get professional help. Get them to actually diagnose whatever it is that is happening with your skin. If it's PD, if it's something else, whatever. My next note would be to take progress pictures, because honestly, regardless if you have a condition or anything, even if you're just into skincare, just take progress pictures, because it really does help to see, okay, what changes have I made? Are they improving anything? How much have they improved things over what amount of time? And last but not least, as I've said multiple times in this video, you are not alone. It really, like I said, and like I will keep saying, it really can be so difficult to deal with. I still have my down days where I get frustrated. I just want to find a solution that will completely get rid of it so I can go back to how I was with my skincare before the PD. I have those moments still. So you're not alone. I really hope it helps you. Please do let me know if there's anything else PD related you'd like to know. Maybe I could make a more coherent tip video that's not all jammed together with all of my story. Do let me know in the comments if there's anything like that you would like a video on. Anyway, before this light dies next, I'll get going. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.